Everyone, this Mel. Everyone, this is Melvin Lim, PropertyLimBrothers. Now for our episode 5 of PropertyLimBrothers show, we have decided to do a Q&A today because we are thankful that we have been receiving a lot of inquiries and questions on our platforms, on social media. There have been questions from you guys asking us about investing in properties, taking our opinions on certain types of properties and also on selling your place. And so we have decided to do very frequent Q&As now. Every episode we'll answer about 2 to 3 questions. Why don't we start with the first one? Now we have a question from a seller. Now this question says that, what do I need to prepare when selling my property? Since the buyer will be renovating the place when they buy over my place, why do I have to do any touch up and prep the place for the buyers to see? Well, a few key points. Now when we want to sell a property, if you are the seller and you want to move on, you want to sell your place, it has to be a mindset whereby you want to prep your place as a product. And this product must appeal to the buyer that is buying over the property. Now if the product is not appealing and the product has a lot of objections that the buyers find that it's very difficult to overcome, then that places your product in quite a disadvantaged position. When you just go back to maybe 5 or 10 years ago when you first bought your place, renovated, moved in, I believe you love your property, but probably after 5 to 10 years there has been some wear and tear, some very bad paintwork, not well maintained and stuff like that. So it is important to, in a sense, help the buyer to visualize how they can feel when they move in. Now when the buyer can visualize better, the chances of getting an offer is very high because there is minimum objection. The buyers can actually come in with a full sense of visual appeal. They can visualize how they want to place their furniture, visualize the view of the property better rather than looking at the nitty-gritty stuff, like for example, oh, there's a dark patch on the wall or there's some condensation mark in the bathroom, but that's probably not leaking. That's probably because you have not been ventilating your bathroom well, and then there's been dark marks because you have used the heater often and stuff like that. So all these small little things, if you can like do a repaint of your place, touch out a little bit here and there, place your furnitures in a prime position, it helps your buyers to increase the appeal. I hope that answers your questions. Now we have a very interesting question now. This question says that I felt that my property is underpriced, it's freehold, it's surrounded by a few 99 years development around me, and the 99 years are newer developments, and my freehold is about 10 odd years. So how do I position my property to show the value of my property to the buyers that want to view the place? Key reason why all the 99 years around your development is higher in PSF is because they will launch at a later date, and we know that when they are launched at a later date, either through en bloc or through government land sales, the acquisition price that the developers paid for the land price is definitely higher as our years goes by, and the launch price definitely has been set at a higher benchmark, which is why once the project has TOP, the resale transactions will actually take the benchmark from the launch price as well. Naturally, it is common that a newer development, even though it's 99, it could be very much higher than your freehold development. So when you want to sell your place, it's very important to position your property to show the key value of it so that the buyers can know that, hey, the surrounding 99s are already at this per square foot benchmark. Now entering into this freehold development at this PSF is actually quite reasonable. But of course, we also have to take into consideration how much your banker can match in terms of the valuation, which brings us back to one of the properties that we have sold recently at Oasis Garden. Is a 3-bedder, 123 square feet. Why don't we bring out the video over here? I see whether my videographer can do that. This is Mark over here. We'll put in the video link below as well, so you can click on the Oasis Garden video. The Oasis Garden one, okay. So how we have sold that property in 30 days, similar, is a freehold development, 134 units, 10 odd years, and surrounded by all Bartley residences, Bartley Ridge, which are 99, and they are all doing at a higher per square foot than our Oasis Garden unit. So we managed to sell good price for our seller in less than 30 days to a buyer who appreciates the value of it. Freehold PSF actually is still reasonable compared to all the 99 years, and we use a comparative approach in the video to bring out the value of the property. And anyone that just seen the video will know that, hey, actually it makes sense that buying this freehold, although I'm paying at this price, overall quantum vis-a-vis the PSF is actually still very worth it. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, so this question is asking, I'm thinking of buying a 99 years project, which is a large size development, but I'm confused because at the same time I could get a similar size unit in the surrounding at a low rise, smaller development, but that smaller development is freehold instead. So which one should I choose if I can buy both at the same price? Now that's a very good question, and actually that is a very common question that we always get from our buyers and investors thinking of investing and going into the private property market. Now, what is the key difference? Small projects, better privacy for you because you have lesser people booking the facilities, more chances to use your function room, your pool has lesser people, smaller community for people who enjoys privacy and quietness. Small projects, that's fine for you. Now, big developments, usually they come with full condo facilities and you get a tennis court, pool, basketball court, badminton courts, and the function rooms are good size, basement car park, 24-hour security and stuff like that. Well, the fact is that it points down to two very important factors, valuation and volume. Now let's talk about the first one. What is it about valuation? Now, whenever you want to invest in a private property, let's say you want to see a property, you see that the seller is asking for 1.5 million. Before you even put the check down, what is the first thing that you will do? You give a call to your banker. And then you call, hey banker, this is the unit I want to buy, it's 3-bedder, 1238 square feet, freehold, okay condition, and I want to make an offer. The owner is asking for 1.5 million. Your banker probably will take a couple of hours and come back and they'll say, and hey, the unit, I've checked with our valuers, the valuation is at 1.4 million maximum. So what happens if you decide to pay 1.5 million for that unit? You have to top up the 100K difference in terms of cash because the bank will only loan you 80% of 1.4 million and not 80% of 1.5 million. And so you have to take into consideration what is the valuation that the bank is willing to match in a sense. So we use this lingo called matching the valuation. If your bank can't match, anything above that you offer to the seller is all in hard cash. Now, this is a very important factor because most buyers, when it comes to private property, we want to loan up to the match value. So we want to buy a property that is at a fair value. We don't want to overpay for our property. So in that sense, the valuation is very important when coming to invest in a property. Now, the valuer gives a figure to the valuation based on largely the number one factor is the past transactions in that development. Now, bearing this fact, if let's say the development is small and there is very little volume with people selling and buying every quarter or every year, then the valuation is sort of flat. I'll give you an example. If this development has only 30 units, but in the whole year, there's 0 transaction. Now, where can the valuer take reference from? They probably have to take reference from last year's transaction in the sense that if the price has not moved much, then it definitely will affect the growth rate of the valuation. Compared to a large size development, which is 99 years, but it has, let's say, 600 units, but there is volume every month. So for example, in a 9 years development, a seller A at June 2018 puts a property in the market, sold it for 1.38 million. And maybe in July, another person saw that this caveat was lodged at 1.38. Similar size neighbor B, decided to put a property in the market and they managed to sell for higher, let's say $1.4 million. And the next owner decided to put out in the market and sell for a little bit higher, 1.41. And because of the volume and frequency of transactions in that big development with 600 over units, the growth is strengthened. So when the growth is strengthened, the next owner that wants to sell the property, when they call their banker to say, hey, I decided to sell my property, how much is my valuation now? Then the valuer can take reference from the past 3 months and say that, oh, your valuation is this and this figure because there's so much references to reference fund. Compared to a smaller development, sometimes the challenge is that there's not much transactions and every transaction is so precious, it becomes that the valuation growth is slightly affected. So this is the key point, which is valuation. And number 2, volume. You get a lot of movement in pricing, and that is the time whereby when the market is picking up, the appreciation is strengthened and there's more chances of appreciation in a sense. I hope we answer your question.